So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another album review of The Chill Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector. So, today we're gonna talk about the album number 8 by the band Garbage. And as you can tell, I have their first album and their second album here with me. I have them on vinyl because these are my favorite Garbage albums, and I don't matter what happens, I will compare a little bit to those records. So, yeah, 8 albums in, and this one actually turns 30 this year, believe it or not. So, Garbage is a band that is well known because they have a vocalist that is not only great, but she has like a presence and she kicks ass, and it's Shirley Manson. And I gotta tell you, back in the 90s, I had a huge crush on Shirley Manson. She's a redhead. I don't know. It's a vulnerability. I'm a masochist. I like to be hit. I'm kidding. But you know, redheads have always that flair. And plus, come on, look at her. She kicked ass. She was awesome. And even though she's older now, I still think she's hot.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot more to life than being really, really good looking. And I plan on finding out what that is. Thank you.
So yeah, getting that out of the way of her being ridiculously good looking. What about the music? So yes, album number 8, and I listened to their newer stuff, but I gotta be honest, like after an album, Bleed Like Me, I think in 2004, 2005, I kind of like moved away from Garbage. So their last albums, I've listened to them, but it's not albums that I usually go back to a lot. When I go back to Garbage discography, I always go back to their first 2, which are my favorites. So this album is 10 songs, 45 minutes in length, and it's an album that it's more synth driven and electronic. So I think of this album because they use more electronics on this album than the first album. But on this one, they also didn't abandon the sound that they had done on their first album, like my daughter says, the Pink album. So on this one, again, the album is produced by the band. They recorded in different studios, one being Butch Vig's studio. And apparently they recorded some songs on Shirley Manson's bedroom. Ooh, interesting. So Butch Vig obviously is a legend. You know, he's produced Nevermind, Siamese Dream. The dude has done some of my favorite records of all time. So yeah, he's always been involved with the sound of Garbage. And the band has always been the same 4 people. They haven't changed people in the band, so it's the same core. And they've had a very long career. They did have a time that like they had like a dip in an album, like their first album were hits, then they have a dip, but they kept a very steady career. So what are my favorite things from this album? First of all, Shirley Manson still sounds great. Second of all, she still writes some very interesting lyrics. I like how she can mix like sensuality with like serious matter and also like attitude. Even though they're not like a punk rock band, they have that punk rock attitude to them. They've always stuck up for like people who are in the minority. For example, on their first album, they had a song named Queer, and having that song on the radio at that time was like a huge deal. So they've always been champions for diversity. Yes, and that's not a bad word. So on this album, yeah, I mentioned that's good. I also think the third factor is great production. So what are my favorite tracks from this record? So I think this record has a very strong first half. Then in the middle, I kind of like snoozed a little bit, like a little bit of a dip. And then at the end, it has a great album closer. So it's a tale of 2 halves, like a more interesting, like a little bit fast paced in the first 4 tracks on the record. Then it has a few tracks that go more like electronic and more mellow. And then it has like a mixture of things. So they had 2 singles from this album, one being There's No Future in Optimism, which opens the record. And I like that way. It starts like very like fast, like if you're ready for love, if you're ready for love. And it's kind of like a dance beat to it. And that's all. Garbage has always like had some dancey beats to them, mixing with the alternative rock and electronic sound. So that's why to me Garbage have always been interesting. So I like that first song and that first single. There's another single that is Get Out of My Face, aka Bad Kitty, which I thought it was an atrocious song title. But the song is kind of okay. I don't know, it's kind of fast paced. I don't know why it reminded me a little bit of the fast pace of a song like Stupid Girl, but obviously lyrically it's about something else. So that single to me was okay. I like the other one better. But the songs that really stand out for me on this album are deep cuts like Hold and Have We Met the Void. For example, Hold, there's a lot of like electronics on this one, but it's like a lot like Hold Me, like Don't Let Me Go, but in a cool way. But it has some like nice like blend of the electronics with more of the alternative rock sound. So it's a great song. But Have We Met the Void has to be the best song on this record, and especially lyrically. So the story for that track is Shirley paints a vivid picture of like a woman visiting Edinburgh to Barcelona and confronting someone who apparently has slept with her significant other. And there's a part on the track that says like, have you motherfuckers been seeing each other? And the delivery of Shirley is spot on. And she's like saying, no, you must have been confused. And when I listen to this song and have you motherfuckers been seeing each other, this is what it looks like on my mind.
I wasn't dating him, I was fucking him.
So yes, something like that. So that track is great, and musically, like I like it because it starts more like electronic, dancey, but as it progresses, you can tell like when you go like in that have you motherfuckers been seeing each other, like you get a sense of like peace, like really someone really pissed off. So the story behind that song, like if I could talk to Shirley, I would definitely ask her about that track because that's a very interesting track. So the themes that are covered on this album, it's an album that is kind of bleak, but there's like an optimism. So it's learning to be vulnerable and accepting of your human flaws in the face of good and also in the face of mortality. So they talk about fatalism, ageism, and sexism. All those things are covered on this record. So like I said, I like the first half. The second half, the fifth and sixth song, Sisyphus and Radical, they're more slow and moodier track, very electronic. And I think they follow each other and it's in the middle. It's like, they kind of lost me there. Like I wouldn't put 2 songs that sound so similar and so slow, like back to back. I would have spaced them out in some other way, so the flow of the album would have been better. And that part to me, it kind of like they kind of lost me there. I don't think they're bad tracks. It's just the placement of having like they could have Sisyphus and then instead of Radical, they could have put Love to Give in between them because that's a more faster track with a good balance of the electronics and the rock. So I would have put that one in. And then you have a more mid-pace, like Are You Happy Now? Which is a solid track. It blends in like between the more like electronic with that like alternative rock sound that they're known for. But I do think that they have a great album closer with The Day That I Met God. This song reminds me of when Garbage did The Day Is Not Enough. They did a song for a soundtrack for a James Bond movie. This song sounds like the soundtrack to a movie that hasn't been done yet. It's a longer track, it's like 6 minutes, and Shirley Manson really, her vocal range really here shines. And not only vocally, the music, it feels like a score to a movie, it's very cinematic, and I think it's a great album closer. So, in conclusion, to me, this album, it's a solid album. I do think that I would have liked to hear more guitars, and it's too synth driven sometimes, and I kind of want that oomph, like albums like this first one right here, or even Garbage 2.0. But also, I do feel it is stronger than the last two records that they have released. The No God No Monsters, and I can't remember the name of the other one right off the top of my head. But I think this album has more memorable songs than those albums. So if you like Garbage, you will like this album. But I say don't go just because of the singles, because there's songs that are not singles that are way stronger than the singles, in my opinion. So I want to know from you, Couchers, what do you think of Garbage new album? It's a mouthful of a title. Let all that we imagine be light. Do you think number 8 is hitting on all of your Garbage needs? Comment down below. And if you like the videos I'm putting out, do not forget to subscribe and give me a like. You know, that helps me with the YouTube algorithm, man, to get to more people like yourself. So until next time, Coucher. See, I had an octopus. This is Hector, the shield dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.